All right, let's just dive right in. We're about to tackle a question that is so basic, so incredibly fundamental, that we almost never even stop to ask it. What actually makes something a thing?
To get us started, just do a little thought experiment with me. Go on, picture your refrigerator right now. In your mind, open the door. So, is there anything in it? If your first thought was, nope, it's empty, I really gotta go grocery shopping, well, I'm here to tell you that you're a liar. I mean, technically. Because even a supposedly empty fridge is absolutely jam-packed with sextillions of air molecules. And hey, if we look really close, we might even find a stray eyelash in the corner. Now look, I'm not just trying to be difficult here. This little fridge puzzle, it gets right to the heart of a branch of philosophy called ontology. And basically, ontology is the study of existence itself, of what it means for something to be, to even qualify as a thing in the first place. And there's a great way to think about this from the philosopher Ami Thomason. When you said the fridge was empty, you were using what she calls a sortal sense. You were looking for things that belong in a fridge, things you could count, like, milk or eggs. But I was using a neutral sense, where absolutely any describable entity counts, right down to the air itself. So, here's the key idea. We all have these unwritten rules, these application conditions that we're constantly using to slice up reality into pieces we can manage. We're deciding what counts as an object and what doesn't, all the time, usually without giving it a single thought. Let's put those rules to the test. We all agree an island is a real thing, right? But what is it really? It's just a relationship between a piece of land and the water around it. Okay, now what about an in-car? Philosopher Eli Hirsch made this up. It's a car that only exists when it's inside a garage. The second it rolls out, poof, it stops being an in-car. Now that sounds totally absurd, but is it really any less real than an island? Or have we just not come up with a reason to use that word yet? And this leads to a pretty wild idea. Maybe we're just belief machines. We're creatures who are hardwired to see patterns, to impose order and meaning on what is otherwise a chaotic, junky universe. Our definitions of things aren't discoveries. They're just tools we invent to help us get by. All right, let's try making one of these tools ourselves. We'll start with something simple. This is a tree. Yeah? We all agree on that? It's a tree. And now let's add this. This is the dog that just so happens to be standing closest to that tree at this exact moment. Two separate things, a tree and a dog. Easy. But what if an alien species lands and they point at that whole combination, the tree plus its nearest dog, and they call it a trog? Are they wrong? Or are they just carving up the universe with a different set of rules, one that's useful to them for some reason we can't imagine? And this, my friends, is where we go way, way down the rabbit hole. Because if our definitions are this flexible, this arbitrary, then what if the ordinary objects we see every day, they don't actually exist at all? Welcome to the seriously mind-bending school of thought called mereological nihilism. A nihilist would argue that there's no such thing as a chair. No, there are only simples, the most basic, indivisible particles of reality that just happen to be, for the moment, arranged chairwise. So let's bring it all the way back to where we started. From this point of view, your fridge isn't a solid object that holds things. It is itself just a loose constellation of atoms, a temporary arrangement that we, as humans, have decided to give a label to. Okay, this is all pretty fascinating when we're talking about fridges and chairs, but what's the real point here? Why does any of this matter? Well, let's turn that ontological lens on the most important thing any of us will ever know, ourselves. Because if a chair isn't really a thing, then neither are you. You aren't some static, solid object. You are a process. You are a pattern. A consciousness that is being hosted by a temporary collection of matter. So instead of thinking of yourself as a noun, a person, try thinking of yourself as a verb, youing. You are a bundle of ever-shifting properties. The fact that you know who Kevin is, or that you look like a Mark. It's your memory of your first pet, the unique internal story you tell yourself. You are the universe's way of seeing itself, of recording itself, right here, right now. The philosopher Alan Watts had this absolutely beautiful way of putting it. He said the universe doesn't just contain people, the universe peoples. It's an action. It's something that cosmos does, in the same way that a wave waves, or a cloud clouds. So here's the final, and maybe the most incredible idea.
Even if you accept that you aren't a solid, permanent thing, your existence is still profoundly, deeply real. You are what we might call a ripple ghost. Just take a look at this number. 1.2 billion. That's roughly the distance, in kilometers, from where you are right this second to the planet Saturn. And here's the part that might just blow your mind. Right now, the tiny, tiny gravitational pull from your body, from your mass, is reaching across that entire billion-kilometer gap and is physically affecting the particles in Saturn's rings. It's a ridiculously small effect, of course, and this is the amazing part, it's not zero. And that's the final thought. Your presence, your little ripple in the fabric of spacetime, is permanent. Even after the collection of atoms that's hosting you goes its separate ways, the gravitational signature that you have left on the cosmos means you can never be truly, completely annihilated. You're part of the story. Forever.